You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, Caitlin Clark continues to do her thing. And the attraction she brings is undisputable at this point. There was and we'll get to it in a minute, the ratings have come out for the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese game, the one in which a forever meme was created after Angel Reese blew one of her however many missed layups she had. And that game led to a gargantuan rating. Last night, they played in Toronto. Over 19,000 people showed up for that game. Caitlin Clark, right? To a lesser extent, Sophie Cunningham. We saw the reaction, Sophie, whether people came there, and there was a lot of people. They had a rally. They came to support Sophie. And then there was some numbskulls that were there that didn't want to support Sophie. But really interesting article calling Caitlin Clark basically the most valuable player in the history of sports to its league. Now, I could argue Magic and Larry were probably just as important to the NBA when they showed up, because the NBA was a league that was on tape delay for the finals when Larry and Magic showed up. And then we all know they went national and live in prime time very quickly after Larry and Magic's arrival. The ratings just took off for the NBA. But I get the point. Outside of that, maybe the other one I could think about was Tiger Woods in the 90s, his impact to golf. And the ratings and the attendance back then, which exploded. His rivalry with Phil certainly helped that. Let's take a look at this. Caitlin Clark helps the WNBA shatter another television ratings record as the Fever and Dream draws a massive audience, and it was a big one. And the peak on this is pretty eye-opening. The peak viewership is like, whoa, wow. So Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, we know, faced Reese and the Atlanta Dream on Sunday, and the game averaged 2.6 million viewers for ESPN, making it the most watched WNBA game in cable television history. Not just a regular season game, not just an ESPN game, any WNBA game ever, cable, regular season, or playoffs. Wow. The audience peaked at a whopping 4 million viewers as the game went down to the wire and eventually reached overtime. The average audience was up 178% compared to ESPN's WNBA regular season average last year. That's a pretty big number. It probably doesn't hurt that it was Clark and Reese, and we all know the backstory there, folks, and that rivalry. The 2.6 million average smashed the previous cable record of 2.3 set by, you guessed it, a Caitlin Clark game. That one also featured Clark versus Reese and came in June of 2024 when Clark's Fever faced Reese's then Chicago Sky team on ESPN. Clark's debut against the Sun averaged 2.11 million on ESPN2 and now sits behind the Fever Dream and Fever Sky among WNBA cable broadcast. Wow. Wow. Just 5 days before the Fever Dream game, Indiana's matchup with New York's Liberty averaged 2 million on ESPN. It was the third most watched regular season WNBA game on cable. Wow. Wow. So the interest in Caitlin Clark, and this is showing the power of her and Sophie right now. And yeah, people are tuning in for Sophie. Let us understand that. That is a thing. I'm seeing people covering the league right now that has never touched the WNBA before. And they're covering Sophie. They're actually not covering Caitlin. But anyway, because we know what Caitlin has done as far as her messaging out there defending girls and women in sports. So this article is written by the Toronto Sun because of the game last night. And the author basically says, you see that, why Caitlin Clark is the most important player in all of sports. And like I said, I agree with most of this except the Magic and Larry Bird situation. There has never been a professional athlete in North American team sports who has changed her league and business of her sport the way that Clark has in 3 WNBA seasons. No one has done this before. Not Namath, not Chamberlain. He says not Magic or Larry. I disagree with that. Magic and Larry reshaped the NBA. Basically in the same kind of way. In fact, I've compared Caitlin Clark to Magic and Larry and what they did to the league. Not Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux. I don't know enough about hockey to be able to tell you that. Clark may not be the best player in the W. We'll toss that baton to Asia Wilson for now. But she and the Indiana Fever are the greatest attraction in the women's game. No doubt. Like all the truly great athletes, Jordan Gretzky, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, they invent their own way to play. They somehow see what others don't see. Unlike Jordan, who was physically gifted beyond anyone else, Gretzky, Mahomes, Brady used their vision, their spacing, their angles, their minds, their incomprehensible passing to do what the others could not. Clark is more like Gretzky and Mahomes and Jordan. And it's all happening under both the most unique and disappointing circumstances all at the same time. Many of the women of the WNBA can't stand Clark. They don't publicly respect her. They don't publicly acknowledge all that she's brought to the business and how much money each of them has made because of Clark's homespun popularity. This is what's wild, and this is really why I wanted to cover this. The Indiana Fever were worth $90 million in the U.S. when they drafted Caitlin Clark first in 2024. The franchise is now valued at $560 million. Wow. She's added basically $500 million in value to that franchise. And I got to be real. If that franchise went up for sale right now, they would give you an estimated value of the franchise, but somebody would pay more than that to buy it. Somebody would pay more than that to buy that franchise. In 2023, Golden State paid $50 million for their expansion franchise. The team is valued by Sportico to be in the range of $1 billion now. Larry Tannenbaum and partners reportedly paid $60 million for the expansion tempo, which seemed like a crazy buy at the time. Now the franchise is worth $325 million. That's still a pretty good return. It's not completely because of Clark and all she's done for the league, but the Indiana Fever essentially are royalty in a league that the fine American columnist Candace Buckner described recently as a societal powder keg. The powder keg that has people watching the Fever play at a record pace. There is no team in sport like this. Large as the Dallas Cowboys may be, Maple Leafs, large as the Yankees may be, they don't dominate television across North America the way the Fever dominates WNBA coverage. Well, I can tell you from covering the NFL, and that's where I'll stop. There's 2 teams in the NFL that gets a great bulk of the primetime coverage. Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. All right. They both will have probably 5 or 6 primetime games this year in the NFL. Well, you only have 18 weeks when you include the bye. So that's quite a bit. However, I understand the point because the Fever are basically, whether you want to count streaming or not, every game can be seen nationally, basically. Whether it's Amazon Prime or USA Network or NBC or ESPN or ABC, yeah, they've made a point to put Caitlin Clark on everywhere. I have no idea why my light takes so long to adjust sometimes, but here I am. Tell me what you think. Caitlin draws another gargantuan rating. And yeah, I would agree with most of the things this sports writer said, outside of recognizing Magic and Larry's impact on the NBA was virtually identical to what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. There was a time when the NBA was literally as accepted as the WNBA prior Caitlin Clark was. And then Larry and Magic showed up and the league exploded in the same way you're seeing Caitlin Clark's impact. But look, being compared, the impact being compared to Magic and Larry, Jesus. I mean, I think most people would say in NBA history, there's three names: Jordan, Magic, and Larry. You know? Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.